Space Action Podcast! With your hosts, Chris Carson and DC and Shama.
The first discovery was made in the spring of 1990. From a mine in South America came a piece of amber containing the fossilized remains of a prehistoric mosquito. One of many that had fed upon the blood of dinosaurs. From the DNA in that blood, science was able to recreate those giants. And for the first time, man and dinosaur shared the earth. It happened at a place called Jurassic Park. This summer, director Steven Spielberg will take you there.
Welcome to Space Action Podcast, a division of Space Action Heroes, a webcomic you can find at spaceactionheroes.com.
Whoop.
I'm DC and Shama.
I'm Chris Carson.
And this week we are doing a retrospective look back on the Jurassic Park saga.
Happy 25th anniversary, Jurassic Park.
Silver anniversary to Jurassic Park.
This is it. Cheers. So, I guess a good way to start is to just talk about our first experiences with Jurassic Park.
Did you know anything about it, like, before it came out, or was it just because you're a Spielberg fan? Were you like, oh, it's his next big film? Or?
Well, here's the thing. I'm not looking forward to the fact that I have to date myself right now, but I was 11 when Jurassic Park came out. 10 when it was like being announced and all the trailers and stuff were starting. And I remember to this day, I was really into the Flintstones because it was the only way to see dinosaurs as a kid, right? And I remember being told there's a new movie coming out called Jurassic Park, and I was like, who gives a shit about that? There's a Flintstones movie coming out. Are you aware that there's a Flintstones movie coming out, people? And then the trailer started, and because I wasn't really I don't think I even was aware of Steven Spielberg as a person at 10 years old, right? Like I was like, Indiana Jones is great, but I didn't know of
He wasn't
this
like
man
a house.
of right.
I think I did because I remember like for me when I was a kid, it was all about E.T. I was a giant E.T. nerd.
Okay, E.T. was 84, 80.
E.T. was, oh god, come on IMDb, throw me a bone here.
But I honestly, like, it's so long ago now to date myself again. I honestly can't remember if I loved Indiana Jones and by extension was like Steven Spielberg's great, or if I just loved Indiana Jones. I honestly don't remember. But I certainly knew who Steven Spielberg was after Jurassic Park.
Oh, and Hook. Hook was the other one.
Hook came out...
Hook was 91.
91.
It was the one right before Jurassic Park.
And I remember I didn't like... Even as a kid, I didn't like Hook. Yeah,
You take that back.
I saw Last Crusade in theaters, but again, you know what I probably did? If I asked my parents, they probably would be like, yeah, you knew who Steven Spielberg was, but my memory is more connected to the material until I got older than the people who made it.
I remember vividly talking to my sister once and being like, man, you know what would be amazing if there was a movie directed by Steven Spielberg and like written by George Lucas. They should do that. And she's like, are you fucking serious, dude? Like, you've watched Indiana Jones, like, You know what? I'm going to let him figure it out.
Raiders always held a special place in my heart because it's my birth movie. It came out the year I was born.
Oh.
So it's always like, it's always been my sort of...
Well, it was a good year for everybody. I remember I wanted to see Jurassic Park so badly because I, like a lot of...
How old were you?
93, I've been 6.
6.
Yeah.
Jeez, I think I was such a little pussy when I was a kid. I don't think I could have handled Jurassic Park at 6.
Oh my god, I was a dinosaur diehard.
Yeah.
There was this series of books, and anyone listening will remember this. These they came bound. I don't know if you remember dinosaurs, and they had 3D glasses in them. And each issue came with a piece of a dinosaur, a glow-in-the-dark T-Rex skeleton that you could get the skin that went on top.
Okay.
And paint it.
It was like early Marvel toys. You can collect Thanos if you buy 18 figures.
Oh, literally,
it's like one
dude.
of those things.
But like that's what kind of kept you invested in buying them. So I think that was around the same time. Anyway, there was a massive dinosaur explosion in the early 90s. This newfound interest.
I guess because Michael Crichton's book, and
that probably was what it was.
Yeah, because that was huge.
And then Spielberg was like, "Oh, there's money to be made here."
Oh yeah. Oh, I have the Spielberg story of how he first heard about that. For when you're done.
And I remember my mom didn't want me to see it. She's like, it's too scary. And I was dying. Like, my sister saw it. She's like, it's pretty rough. Like, there's some pretty gory bits. And
there's a white hand that falls on Ellie Sattler.
There's a white plastic hand. And I remember so vividly, everything's honky-dory up until the T-Rex paddock scene. And right whenever Lex goes, "Where's the goat?" my sister clapped her hand over my eyes, and I remember so vividly. I pulled her hand away because I knew something good was coming, and just in time to see the goat go
slap on top,
and my head exploded like in a good way. Where I was like, "Oh my god!" And that T-Rex head comes into view. You finally see that big reveal. And right away, I was like, "I love this movie. It's delivering. I'm sold. Yeah."
I think cause my first experience with it was. It's now 25 years old. People have seen it so many times you forget how suspenseful it was the first time. Because the first time they approached the T-Rex paddock, I was like on the edge of my seat as a little kid. I was like, oh my god, what's going to happen? I know they're not going to break out yet, because I know that's what's going to happen eventually, but is he going to jump out and scare? It's going to be a little tease.
Right.
Because the music just cuts out. It's all just Foley of jungle sounds, and they're going around. Then the goat comes out. And I remember just being like, it is suspenseful as shit.
And
the first
also,
time you see that movie.
Muldoon has that line. They're approaching the Tyrannosaur paddock. So you're like,
quiet,
if this dude's freaked out, then you're right. The tension in that scene is great.
The tension in that movie is palatable, but
you know what I love
evaporates
about that
on
scene?
second viewing.
It's the sexual tension. Have you ever seen? If you look very closely, there's that 360 shot around the back of the Ford, and I believe it's Grant. No, Malcolm moves over, and Grant's got his hand up.
Oh, when they're looking for or when they're
looking
for
the T-Rex. And Goldblum slips his hand ever so gently onto Sam Neill's, and then realizes and pulls his hand away.
I never noticed that.
Okay, wait, keep going.
Well, now we're on the topic of sexual tension. I think it's time to bring up my Jurassic Park drinking game.
Oh, right. Go for it.
Because I noticed something. I've seen this movie more times than I can even remember, but I was rewatching it for this podcast, and the drinking game is tentatively titled the Jurassic Park drinking game, because the number of times the camera lingers with someone's ass, like center of the shot, so your eye is drawn to it, is insane. It's beyond belief. It starts with Muldoon's clenched little buttocks as he's looking at the raptor being put into the paddock, and then it's just butt after butt after butt. And when I got here and I told you about this, you pointed something out, which is great, of at the end of the movie, the mud splattered on the logo when they opened the Jeep door to kind of like juxtapose to the original Jeep door opening of the clean logo, says "Your Ass Park."
So it had to be intentional.
I'm thinking maybe because, like, again, Spielberg only made this movie to get funding for Schindler's List, and I'm wondering if they just had a decision, like, during a bullpen, where like, hey, do you want to make this all about asses? That'd be funny.
That's my brain's trying to make like some deep correlation. What does the prehistoric age have to say about the posterior?
Yes. We're the only mammal with a fleshy buttocks. Maybe it's commentary on that.
The vulnerability of a fleshy butt. What I find really interesting about that movie is the phenomenon that fall. Like, no one was ready for it.
Oh no, no one was ready for it. It was the first time in so long that we actually questioned how did they do that.
Yeah,
because people didn't even know about CGI. They're like, wait, was this a puppet? How did they do it?
And it still holds up, man. Like,
oh fuck yeah,
it's crazy. Like, the two scenes I can think of that jump to mind are the Brachiosaurus reveal and whenever the T-Rex pops out and eats the Gallimimus.
Or the T-Rex steps between the two Jeeps too.
Well, in CGI, it's easy to hide stuff in darkness. That stark light, though, whenever it's the headlights as it walks past that shot of Goldblum and Sam Neill in the car from behind, and he's in the headlights. That looks insanely good. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, I
always found, honestly, the Brachiosaurus at the beginning to be a little wonky. Even back in '93, I was like, as an 11-year-old, I was going, "This is the first dinosaur shot." Because it looks a little wonky, because they fixed it now in the Blu-ray release, but it used
to... They upgraded in the Blu-ray?
Well, they didn't change the animation, they just changed a bit of the... Like, you can tell they messed around with the contrast.
Gotcha.
To make the blacks a little blacker, and because it always seemed so washed out. Mm-hmm. It always seemed a little, like, why is all the shadows gray, but the shadows on Grant and Ellie are, like, deep black shadows? So it always kind of caught my eye, and they've kind of fixed it a little bit. But still, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
And that's one of my favorite things about that movie is it's almost a meta commentary about, like, they knew exactly in terms of, like, evolution, technology that we're not ready for, and like
humans playing God.
There was so much foreshadowing for like the next couple decades.
Oh, for sure, and of genetic research.
In terms of our culture, in terms of movies, in terms of medical science, like it was insane. That movie, I think that's why it has so much lasting power.
Oh, for sure,
is because there's that great moment whenever I think I'm out of the job. You mean extinct?
Which is from behind
Phil
the
Tippett.
scenes, yeah.
Because poor Phil Tippett worked his ass off making those stop motion dinosaurs.
Slithered in and stole his job. Yeah.
And then they literally just were like, well, we can do this with CGI. And what I find so ballsy about that movie is that, that they were just like, how are we going to do it with computers? They're like, just don't worry, film the movie, like, the dinosaurs are there and we'll figure it out. But they
already had the shots almost finished for the stop motion. They're all on the Blu-ray, you can see the completed shots.
With the raptors with the serpent tongues.
And they look a little jerky. They don't look... Oh, the serpent tongue raptors are from... Because Phil Tippett did an animatic storyboard.
Oh,
so that wasn't the final one.
That wasn't the final.
The final shots are a separate thing entirely because they're all in front of like blue screen. Right?
I think I've seen the T-Rex walking cycle.
Yep, that was one. But they did look a little jerky.
They did.
Wouldn't
have been the same movie at all. But I find it really interesting that you don't get to the MCU without Jurassic Park.
Oh, for sure.
You don't get like 80%, 90% of the movies that have come out in the last 25 years without that film.
Yep, agreed. And I think one of the greatest failings of these new Jurassic Park movies is Jurassic Park changed the way the average person saw a dinosaur. Like in 1992, we still had the public image of like dragging its tail, being slow and lumbering. This was the first time they really said, no, we're going to use the most modern paleontology to show them as the birds they were, the fast, vicious, smart, intelligent animals they were. And then the new movies have just kind of kept them the same. They haven't kept modern archaeology in the picture. They're not feathered. There's nothing original about them, like, you know what I mean?
Well, and that's the problem. Like, I think the first one has such a pertinent message. Like,
you can't change them now, but then that stunts it.
But it's also like, like you can't really go anywhere. Like now, let's be fair. Just like Aliens is about aliens, Jurassic Park is about dinosaurs. This franchise might as well be called Dinosaurs.
Dinosaur Park.
And there's nowhere really to go after the first one. Like they get out, don't go to the island. Okay, so the next 3 movies we keep going back to the fucking island, and I'm like, there's no reason for it anymore. So it literally just like, where else can we put a dinosaur? San Diego, okay. Where else can we put a dinosaur? In a bird cage. They're big pterodactyls now.
Well, I'm the one person who actually does enjoy on a superficial level Jurassic World.
We'll get to that.
Sure.
You know how much I
hate it.
Everyone
hates
the one
it.
thing I hate about you, Chris
I'm
Carson.
the only person among... Like, I don't think I have a single friend who doesn't think less of me for digging that movie.
It's so weird because you're usually very opinionated.
Oh, for sure.
And that movie is just wrought with like, ew, and you love it.
I think the reason the reason I like it so much is that it takes the... Like, the whole message of the first movie was humans shouldn't mess around with nature. The whole message of Jurassic Park was corporations are ruining movies. And I think I liked that.
Ooh.
I kind of dug that a little bit, that like they were having like the Pepsi Cola T-Rex exhibit and shit. I kind of liked that meta commentary of it. I appreciated.
I didn't think of that. But, like, it's really on the nose when I think of that Mark Maron looking hipster who's wearing the OG Jurassic Park jacket.
Right.
He's like, the original one's better, and I'm like, oh, I get it. That's me.
I kind of like I like that how smart that is from a creation standpoint. You're making the movie going, well, we're going to get money from these sponsors, but we're not going to tell them that we're going to be making fun of them. It's almost Wayne's World.
It is. Yeah,
you know?
That's fair.
But I was really disappointed that they didn't modernize the dinosaurs. Like, it's supposed to be all new dinosaurs. It's supposed to be all new bred dinosaurs back on the original island. So why not have them more accurate to what we now believe dinosaurs looked like and how they acted?
I think it'd be too silly, man.
To see, I think a feathery. I think if they
you ever
did
seen
it right,
a feathered T-Rex? It looks goddamn ridiculous.
I think they look cool, just because. I think they look cool because they look like weird monsters instead. Like, I think we're just so used to how they look.
I bet you it's a time thing. They're just like, you know what? It takes way longer to render all the hair on this shit. No one's expecting it, so why put in the effort?
But I think a feathered velociraptor would look awesome, because what's
they did
scarier
that.
than a terror bird?
Well, they had little mohawks.
They had little mohawks.
And
but
they
if they actually gave them like the down of a roadrunner, because that's how they're always explained. Like Richard Backer, the paleontologist who did all the research for the movie originally in '93, always describes raptors as essentially like emus from hell. Roadrunners from hell. Yeah, like, that sounds awesome.
That does, yeah.
And speaking of feathers, though, I want to bring up a funny sociological thing, because they found a T-Rex skin imprint.
Yes.
And everyone, all of a sudden, there were 100 million articles of like, turns out the T-Rex wasn't feathered after all. Your childhood's safe. Turns out they're fine. But then the people who published that report were like, did you read the report? The skin we found was from its underarm, where we believed, like an ostrich, it didn't have feathers anyways. It doesn't change anything.
Also, who
about
are
our
these people
feathers.
who were fucking like up at night crying about T-Rex having feathers and shit? Like, chill the fuck out.
Maybe it was a slow news cycle, but I remember all the articles being like, your childhood is safe. But they're like, we still found feathers around some of the fossils on a T-Rex. Like, this is from a part of the body we never thought had feathers anyways. You weirdos, read the article.
Good Lord, can someone please bomb a country so we can have something to talk about this week?
Talk about fucking dinosaur feathers.
God damn it.
Oh, did you see that prehistoric bird they found in Amber?
No.
Oh, God,
Did
it's
they
awesome.
seriously find an entire prehistoric bear in Amber?
Yeah, it's a baby. It's all furry, but it has a face like a dinosaur. It's so creepy. It's so unsettling and creepy. That's why I think Jurassic World really missed the mark of making it, like, I know they wanted to make money and make it as superficial as possible, but like the psychological aspect of a feathered dinosaur, I think it's so horrific. They could have really done something with that.
You really want this feathered dinosaur thing?
Well, it's just the predators, right? Like Triceratops would be the same, Brachiosaurus would be the same, but I love the idea of a feathered raptor and a feathered T-Rex. I think nothing's more terrifying. If you've ever been in close proximity of an emu, they're fucking terrifying.
When I was a kid in Cornwall, there was wild turkeys that would show up, and I agree, man. Like, a pissed off bird is fucking scary.
Terrifying.
Yeah, they're mean, and every surface is pointy.
Right.
Their beaks are pointy.
Everything's
their feet,
sharp.
Yeah, everything's sharp.
Now imagine that
sucks.
30 feet tall. Like, it's horrible. Like, I went to the ROM this week and looking at their T-Rex stuff.
Right.
It's terrified. They're terrified monsters.
Yeah.
Giant, horrible birds.
Now back to the original, man. You were saying, before we started recording, the lasting power of that movie, if you want to compare it to another fucking Spielberg epic like Jaws, there's there's not a lot, like, really, like, the only arc I can think of in that movie is, like, Grant doesn't like kids, now he likes kids. Like, it's pretty weird.
Characters are super shallow.
Oh, and the thing I remember rewatching it recently, one of the things I noticed the most is, like, getting to the island takes about 20 seconds. We do the dinosaur show. Getting out of the island takes about 20 seconds. And I get it, because it is the dinosaur show.
Fly out, dinosaur
yeah,
show,
no one. The second the fucking shit's done, we cut the dialogue and we just play John Williams plays us out.
You see some birds, half people be confused thinking they're pterodactyls for like a decade. Like,
I remember that argument. No, man, they're pterodactyls. No, pterodactyls had the fin.
And back when we only had VHS, so it was like, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
But no, they're birds. The whole point is they're evolved into birds.
Anyways, people didn't get that visual thematic imagery. But
not at all.
I don't know. Like, that movie is really just. There's not a lot of substance to it. It's visually astounding, but, like, when you really break down and take out, how much you love the CGI and R.I.P. Stan Winston.
Yeah.
He's one of my fucking gods, because the work he's done over the years
is
unparalleled, and that movie is like one of his triumphs, man.
Oh, yeah.
That T-Rex robot,
animatronic.
when you see the behind the scenes of it just chilling, like, moving back and forth.
They kept it breathing and moving between takes to keep the actors, like, intimidated by it.
It's so cool.
Yeah, so the behind the scenes footage of them, but, like, they'll call cut and the T-Rex will actually be sitting there going,
It's so cool. Have you ever been on the Universal ride?
oh yeah,
Like,
Fuck,
just
they're shutting it down.
why?
Yeah, they're replacing it with the Jurassic World ride in October. I'm desperate to get to Universal before October.
What's the Jurassic World ride?
They haven't announced it yet. They just said Jurassic Park's shutting down in October 2018, and then I think 6 months later they're opening the Jurassic World.
See, that worries me, because I was a big fan of Confrontation, the ride where you're in a tram and you go through, and there was a giant
King Kong.
Yeah, there was a giant animatronic King Kong, and now, because everyone cheaps out and 3D's the thing.
It's gonna be a video.
Yeah, it's just a giant 3D video, and the tram just rolls through now.
It's gonna be for Jurassic Park, isn't it?
So, like, I kind of feel like the maintenance for those robots is probably too expensive, so they're like, fuck it,
Well, two things. One, that King Kong ride is what inspired Spielberg to hire. He wanted to get the crew who made the King Kong puppet,
right.
but they couldn't. They were too expensive, so that's why he got Stan Winston, because he underbid them. And the other one is someone filmed the Jurassic Park ride because they were there for the 25th anniversary like a month ago, and they recorded the ride and put it online. And yeah, they're not even bothering to maintain it. Like the sauropods' necks are all like half crooked and bending. There was a point in the ride, because when I lived in California, I went on that ride constantly.
Yeah.
And I would always hang out in the because they actually rebuilt the part of the visitor center, the cafeteria.
Yeah.
So I would just hang out, listen to Jurassic Park music in the visitor center.
The John Hammond dialogue.
Great. Yeah. And then Richard Kiley.
Yes.
Yeah. Spared no expense. But there was a part of the ride where you come around the corner and like how the T-Rex pushes the car off, it would fall down.
Yes.
And the guy comes around the corner and it's just sitting at the bottom. He's like, oh, they're not even running it anymore.
The last
So they've given
time
up.
the last time I went, it had been like maybe like 8 years ago, and when it flipped, it was like, it just fucking almost made as little sense physically as the actual fucking car in the movie.
So, okay, here's an issue. As I'm sure everyone who likes Jurassic Park knows, originally and in the book, he pushed them off the other side of the road. But I guess maybe the limitations of the set that they built, they had to use the same side he broke out of. But then suddenly where the T-Rex broke out of is like a 50-foot drop. It made no sense.
That bugs the shit out of me, but not as much as the car all smashed, sitting perpendicular in the tree. So the branch breaks, it drops down. Physics dictates the ass end of that thing would
flop out.
and it would fall out of the tree. But somehow this thing goes straight down one side of the tree.
And also logic dictates that you just have to move 2 inches around the tree.
Go perpendicular.
Yeah.
Don't go straight down.
And you could
Fucking-
avoid.
You're the worst
the whole
parent
thing.
figure, Dr. Grant.
Yeah. But
One day you're gonna get Billy killed.
no, he'll come back. He'll be okay. I saved your hat. All right, so now moving on to.
Are we done with that one?
Well,
It's the only one I like talking about.
We could totally dip back into the original, but what was your experience with The Lost World?
Lost World.
Oh my god! Remember the anticipation for that movie?
It was like the second coming of. I remember I read an article that it was the set comparing it to or equating it to the second coming of Christ, and that pissed off Christian groups. I remember that because they don't believe in dinosaurs to begin with.
Oh,
So like
doubling down.
doubling down on it.
Number one, I remember that teaser, Something Has Survived, with the footprint.
The lightning and-
broke the fucking planet.
I remember spending 6 hours downloading that on dial-up.
97?
96. And 96 I was 15, so I was starting to get a little too old for it. So I was a little more judgmental of The Lost World because I was getting to be a surly teenager, and I still loved it, but I was also like, this isn't.
I think I saw that
what I
movie
was
like
expecting.
twice. Okay, wait, 97 would have been 10.
Okay. I'm so sad we're dating ourselves like this.
But like I remember the one thing about like Lost World was I was very I'm the fucking kid who loved the sequel. I didn't have Ninja Turtles 1 or Home Alone 1. I had the fucking sequels.
Ninjas 2,
because the
where
sequels
they weren't allowed to use weapons.
you fight with sausages.
Yeah.
Because the sequels were always bigger and better and
Yeah.
had more. So I remember whenever I fucking saw Lost World, for some reason I liked Vince Vaughn. I can't remember why I was excited. Oh, cool, Vince Vaughn's in
Were
this
you
movie.
just really into swingers at the time?
I
or-
don't think again 10.
Yeah, I don't know.
Your money, baby. You just so money. I remember that movie coming out, and Goldblum was the lead. I was excited because Malcolm's my favorite character. There were 2 T-Rexes. I was like, oh my god. There was even rumor that they were going to put a pterodactyl in, so I remember being so excited.
Oh, the last shot was a pterodactyl.
That's right.
Yeah.
Um,
But then
so-
they kept retconning that in every movie. The pterodactyls break out.
completely different.
Anyway,
too.
sorry.
And I just remember when I watched it, I was like, I don't think I noticed right away, because again, I'm 10, that it wasn't a solid flick. I remember being very confused because it's so dialogue heavy, that movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of scenes where it's just like Roland Tembo talking to Malcolm, who's talking to fucking Hammond Jr. And they're just, it's preachy dialogue after preachy
Very
dialogue.
hunters versus gatherers. Very preachy about naturalism, not conservatism. What's the word? Conservationism versus hunting. Yeah, and Malcolm, he's like Jack Sparrow, where I'm not sure he can hold a movie as the main character.
Especially whenever you throw in his suspiciously black daughter.
I love the idea because I still do argue this to this day that the 90s we almost fixed the world, but then horrible people like Steve Bannon ensured it stayed horrible. Because I like that in 1997 it was like, my daughter's black, could be an adopted daughter, could be a stepdaughter, we're not going to say, and
Right.
everyone was fine with it. No one cared. Now you make a character's daughter black and the internet explodes of morons screaming at each other. It's like, we were almost there, guys. We almost did it.
They gave it past to Michael Keaton's daughter in that Spider-Man flick, so maybe
Well, because
there's
I think
still
because
hope.
the actress is actually only half black, so I think that was the well, she is only half black, so that makes sense. And the mom was black. I think that was why people didn't scream too hard about it. But people did scream that Liz Allen was not white and blonde. What color's hair was Liz Allen in the comic? I don't even remember. But people did complain about that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
maybe that's not the best example.
People are just the worst. We know that already. But
I don't know. I remember even as a kid, the scene where the T-Rex is running around eating dogs in San Diego.
Yeah.
I remember being like, this doesn't feel... I mean, I like it, but this doesn't feel right.
No, it bugged me that he was slurping up chlorinated pool water. It's such a weird thing. I was like...
Yeah, because it's a very delicate animal from
Right.
millions of years ago.
But I think that was the first time John Williams' score really disappointed me. I really dislike the Lost World theme. Dun,
I like it.
dun, dun, dun,
Banana,
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, no.
That's my shit.
I bought the album. It was so cool because it came out. It was all cardboard and had pop-ups of the dinosaurs
cool.
and shit. It was like really neatly, awesomely designed little album. And I bought it. I put it on for the first time, listened to it, and went, "Well, I'm good." I think the track. It's like Sarah to the Rescue or something. The track that played over the raptor attack at the end. I've listened to 1 billion times.
With the bongos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's sick. That one, and that's what bums me out about that movie. That's another thing that just the
Rescue
Raptors.
Sarah. Sorry.
The Raptors just got pushed to the fucking back of that. They're one of
Cameo, yeah.
It's like they're one of the best parts of the first movie, and literally all the best shit you see in the trailer, like when it flies out of the grass. I love that black dude starts screaming up at this guy before it jumps at him.
Long before it jumps. I've always laughed at that. So he just like, the constellation Leo shouldn't be in that part of the sky. Like he wasn't even screaming at a raptor.
Do they ever show Ajay die?
No, he dies off camera.
Off camera?
His unspoken but heavily implied gay lover. He dies off camera.
You ever seen the deleted scene where it's Roland Tembo and him in a bar?
Yeah,
it's
there's
very...
so many dick hit jokes.
Yeah.
Which adds to the Spielberg's obsession with butts and dicks.
Wait, are there dick hits in that scene?
Yeah, because he's like, I can do it with one hand tied behind my back, and he knocks him out. And then when his friends pick him up, each friend grabs a leg and they walk his dick into a pole. It's so stupid.
Man, Spielberg dick hits.
Yeah.
There is a we gotta go through these.
We
man.
gotta we could write a whole essay about Spielberg's weird obsession with genitals. It's very strange. I mean, just look at E.T.'s finger.
It's true. There's a lot of like, okay, yeah, it's starting to bum me out now.
and when you add on the layer of how him and Lucas just lapped up the idea that the backstory was Indy bedded Marion when she was 12. It really makes it even weirder.
That makes it really strange.
Yeah.
On a lighter note, correlating Spielberg movies. You know what really does? It took me a while to notice it, but rewatching Duel. The T-Rex is modeled like with its tiny. They really lean on it in the Jurassic World movies with its tiny white beady eyes and its brown kind of off-color skin. It's clearly like Spielberg being like. You know what's really terrifying? A giant thing trying to kill you that you can't negotiate with, like a truck or a shark.
Yeah.
And it became like this running theme of like these unstoppable monsters, you know?
Oh, for sure. Duel was so inspired. Or have influenced. Duel's amazing.
If you haven't
Sugarland
seen Duel...
Express, amazing.
I was just saying to anyone listening, if you haven't seen Duel...
See Duel.
Pause this and watch Duel, come back.
And then come back.
Wasn't that awesome?
Yeah, it was great, right? Duel's fucking amazing.
Fuck,
it's like Jurassic Park with a truck.
Yeah, and that awesome railroad track scene. That's one of my favorites. Because, like, it's simple tension. Dude's at a fucking train.
Right.
Bears down. This truck somehow ninjas up behind him.
Yeah.
And, like, what are you going to do? Unless you just get out of the car, then you're fucked. Because this dude could just run you over. It's so well written, that scene.
He used, I think from the original The Lost World or another early dinosaur movie, he used the dinosaur scream of being thrown off a cliff for Duel. Did he use that in Jurassic Park? I'm trying to remember. Layered that in somewhere.
Wait, you mean the sound of...
Oh, that was Jaws sinking. He used the same sound for the truck dying as Jaws sinking.
I think it's also mashed into the T-Rex roar, though.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a noise whenever the truck goes off the cliff, this groaning metal sound.
Yeah.
And whenever Jaws explodes...
He gets the same sound. And it's a dinosaur from like a 30s movie.
Yeah, I think it is Lost World, the OG Lost World.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's also kind of blended into the T-Rex roar. I also want to give props to the people who are either dead, like Stan Winston, or otherwise. John Williams, one of the greatest fucking scores. Like two of the most memorable themes.
John Williams, our Beethoven. He's our Mozart, right? He's deconstructed music to a point where it's beyond brilliant.
Those two themes of that movie are so insane. The main, like, Welcome to Jurassic Park theme.
Journey to the Island, I could listen to over and over again.
It's so good. And, like, he's one of those dudes that just fathoms deep. Like, you're like, where are you going to go from here? And then all of a sudden he comes up with that. And you're like, you nailed it. That's exactly what dinosaurs fucking sound like.
You're 80 years old and you wrote Ray's theme. And it's great.
Like, God damn it.
Did you ever notice, though, that it always bothered me that he upped the tempo for The Lost World. So it went dun 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 dun.
Oh, did it? It sped up a little.
He sped it up, and it really bugged me because and anytime anyone covers it, they do the speeded up version, and it bugs the shit out of me.
Well, it can't be as bad as what fucking
Giacchino
did the fucking The Lost World theme.
Oh, having it just slip in as the raptor
It sounds
attack?
like no. It was one part where it's playing, and it sounds like the CD skips. Or is that number 3?
That's 3.
That's
You're
part
thinking
3.
of 3.
Oh, okay.
Don Davis did
Don
3.
Davis, yes.
And he fucked it up so bad because I like Giacchino's Lost World score. I think he does. He gets Williams' pacing.
Yes, he does.
It's a little more subdued.
Okay, no, I am thinking of number 3.
Don Davis was horrible.
It's awkward.
It's horrible.
Really clunky.
I think there's a reason he hasn't gotten a lot of work outside The Matrix, and then they gave him a chance with Jurassic Park 3, and then he kind of... That's about it.
And the other guy I was going to give, I'm 90% sure it's Ben Burt who did the Foley for Jurassic Park. Like, again, some of the most memorable, like, as iconic as that lightsaber is, that T-Rex roar, you can play it anywhere, and people were like, oh, that's fucking Jurassic Park.
It's a walrus, a lion, and something else.
I believe a baby elephant.
Yeah, and then they put it all onto, so they performed it on a keyboard.
Yeah.
They digitized it and they put it onto a keyboard, and they could play his roars.
It's so, that's great. The fucking, I love the raptor squeal.
That's a dolphin. What else? Because I just watched the making of it. Shit, it was.
Did you watch the behind the scenes one narrated by James Earl Jones?
Yeah.
Oh, did you find it online?
No, it's on the Blu-ray.
Fuck! I haven't seen. I taped it off TV. I haven't seen that one. Sound.
He's walking around.
Yes!
Through the skeletons.
Oh,
and just
I
talking.
love that one.
It's so good. What else was it? It was just a conversational dolphin thing. So it was a dolphin being like, "Hello."
Little things like having them purr. Like I love the because I was watching it and then like really like taking it apart from like a Foley point of view. Like how do you make these things have presence while doing nothing? Like the T-Rex is just lumbering around. It's this huge thing. But having it be this pensive, slow purring, it makes it the most unsettling, vicious thing.
And the T-Rex eating Gennaro was the Ben Burt's dog chewing on a toy.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I thought that was great. He just was going and recorded it.
It's perfect.
That was it. I guess that transitions us into Jurassic Park 3.
Oh, well, the one thing I was going to say about 2 was just the switch to putting it on Endor bugged the shit out of me.
Oh, because Spielberg said, he's like, I understand this isn't like a tropical aesthetic, but I just, when I see redwoods, I can't think of anything but dinosaurs. So it makes no sense that this Costa Rican island has redwoods on it. He just loved the look of it and said, I don't care about the practicality.
I can see like the visual aesthetic he was going for, like when you see those old oil paintings of like dinosaurs, like
big trees, because there were giant trees back then, right? But not in modern day on Costa Rica. If he was shooting a period piece set in Jurassic World,
I remember as a kid, it took me a while to figure out why that movie visually feels
didn't
off.
work.
And it was exact. And then one day I came together. I'm like, wait a minute, there should be a speeder bike flying into that tree. This is a redwood forest.
I think it was probably the
exact same. It is
100%
the exact same.
It's so bizarre. And it's extra bizarre because they go to different parts of the island and they look tropical.
Yeah.
So
that's right. Yeah.
What kind of continent-sized island are you on right now? Because Site B is supposed to be. I think in the movies it's bigger than Isla Nublar, but in the book it's supposed to be this tiny little outcropping of rock.
It was never clear to me. So Site B, we're talking about like let's say for example the T-Rex that breaks out of the paddock in the first movie. It was raised on Site B and then transported over to the park.
Well, the canon on it is they bred 7 T-Rexes on Site B and they shipped one over to Isla Nublar.
Okay.
And Hammond saying I've been here for the birth of all these creatures was just showmanship. It was just Barnum and Bailey.
Okay.
Showmanship. Because they wrote dialogue for John Hammond for the game Jurassic Park Trespasser.
Oh.
And then they canonized it. They said, yeah, this is official.
I forgot about the game.
The game sucked so bad, but I loved it so much.
The Super Nintendo one?
I never had Super Nintendo. I was the Sega one. I played I spent more hours than I can remember as a raptor on the Sega game.
Was that the Genesis for number 2?
Sega Genesis number 1 Jurassic Park. You could be the raptor or and then part 2 was a PlayStation game.
Yeah.
Where you started off as a compy and then you worked your way up. You were a compy and then a raptor.
I remember playing the level where your T-Rex, because you had to knock people out of the high.
That was the PlayStation one, yeah.
Oh, that was badass.
But then the T-Rex was bright green.
Yeah,
it was always weirded me out.
The Super Nintendo one was a fucking nightmare because you were Grant and you were armed with this electric gun that just kind of shot these little...
Yeah, it was top... It was like
it was like Zelda. It was like a top view one. So, It was, first of all, a useless goddamn weapon. The Dilophosaurus were pains in the asses. And then every now and then, like, if you went to the raptor paddock, you had to find the night vision goggles before you went in, because otherwise it was just all black and you hear... And you'd start dying because raptors and Dilophosaurus are killing you in the dark.
Jesus.
It was one of the most... It was like a big puzzle. It was one of the most frustrating, boring video games
I never
ever
had a
made.
Nintendo. The only Nintendo I've ever owned is the very, very first one. So I was always... Do you remember... did you ever see for Sega CD, the Jurassic Park game?
What was that one?
It was like a point and click thing where you just click where you wanted to go and then it would do a little... animation where you transition to the next scene, and it was almost like Myst or Riven, but on Jurassic Park, and it was the worst game ever. It was the lamest fucking game, but
How do you fuck up so many... Oh, wait, I was gonna say, how do you fuck up and not have one good Jurassic Park shooter game?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that is one of my favorites.
Great. And I love the original Sega Genesis Jurassic Park game. I love it. But to this day, I would literally, if anyone... Because our friend Hewan... works on video games, and I'm always bugging him. I'm like, you have input to this world. Can you please convince someone to make an open world survival horror game set on Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
And I would kill for that game.
That would be really fun.
I would do anything for that game, just to be able to just zone out and walk around Isla Nublar. Set it like a year after the '93 movie too, because I know they'll never do that. It's all Jurassic fucking World now.
Right.
But I would love to like see the visitor center all overgrown.
Right.
And everyone always says that there's no raptors left. I was watching so many specials, and everyone talks about the 3 raptors are dead, right? The T-Rex kills 2 and one's caught in the freezer.
In the freezer, yeah.
Everyone seems to forget that the baby that was born, that Grant held and asked if it was a raptor.
Yep.
And he was one egg among a clutch of eggs.
Okay.
They would have hatched and been on the island.
Okay.
Would they not have?
Man, that one's just like front and center, but I was about to disagree with you. Like, yeah, no, they're all fucking dead, but you're 100% right. It's right there.
So, and they would have been little, they would have been babies, and they say they're lethal within 6 weeks, so they would have it's like a turtle being born on a beach. It has the wherewithal to survive. So my assumption was, now it's all moot because Jurassic World hit reset, but I always assumed those guys were going to show up again.
That pack of raptors.
Yeah, but then they never went back to Isla Nublar until Jurassic World. It was all Site B.
Site B.
Did you read the books?
I read the first book.
The second book is Michael Crichton's, it's the cough that leads to cancer of how his books kind of started to suck. Because The Lost World is the first Michael Crichton. I remember as a kid reading it and I was like, there's a fuck in here. Weird. Dodgson says fuck constantly. It was the first time Michael Crichton had put a fuck in one of his books.
Okay.
Because I went down the Michael Crichton rabbit hole after Jurassic Park and I read every single one of his books.
Okay.
And then Lost World came out and I was like, oh, this kind of sucks. And then every book since, like Pirate Latitudes and Micro and I can't even name them now. They all kind of sucked.
It's okay. He's dead.
He's dead now. I don't, not to speak ill of the dead, but your time was the 90s, man. Like 80s and 90s was your time.
Also, the Lost World book is more of a sequel to the film, is it not? Or
Weirdly enough.
Because in the book, Hammond's dead and Malcolm's dead, and they're both lead characters.
And then, because it's both, because they treat the first film as if it was the news report of the events that happened in the first book. So Malcolm says, like, the reports of my death were greatly exaggerated. Like, the reports that I died on that island were reported too quickly, and in fact I survived.
Okay.
The only props that I give the book is I love Site B in that book, because it's this tiny little island, and the whole map is in the cover of the book, and you can see how they, like, it's a tiny little stream that goes through a tiny little outcropping of an island with a little cliff and a little field, and it's so small that the claustrophobia of it gets you so terrified, because you can never be more than a couple minutes away from any given dinosaur.
That's why I like the way they describe it in that one part where he's like, all the herbivores are on the outside, the predators stick to the interior. I'm like, that is so fucking terrifying. The idea of this tiny island, just the middle is all predators. Like, that's horrifying.
But then visually, though, in The Lost World, the island seems huge, right? But I don't, because I know it's not supposed to be, but they shot it on, like,
so huge,
California, right?
That a wagon can dangle off a cliff. But not as huge as the giant floor-to-ceiling glass window that somehow takes up the entire... What the fuck? That scene makes no goddamn sense.
Despite it making no sense, that was one of the most suspenseful scenes, I think, in any Spielberg movie. Aside from, like, what's the movie he made about the guy, the Jewish guys retaliating over the bombing at the Olympics?
Not fucking...
Why am I blanking on this?
With Eric Bana?
Yeah.
Fuck.
The scene where they have the bomb hooked up to the guy's phone is one of the most suspenseful.
Awesome,
But I have to argue that Sarah Harding on the glass as it starts to go... you're not thinking as a young person. You're not thinking about the logistics of that glass being in there.
I also love the fact that the back end of this fucking thing fell off. It just fell off. It did take a lot of
the logistics made no sense, but the suspense was still palatable.
Because I think they show it whenever what's her face is up in the trailer. Whenever he finds Kelly in there, they show the back of that thing, and there's no
just a trailer.
giant glass fucking. Anyways,
no, it makes no sense. It makes about as much sense as the T-Rex stepping out of a 50-foot gap onto the road in the original Jurassic Park and then pushing a car over it.
The other one that drove me nuts. I know it's explained in the book that there was also, I think, a raptor on the Venture that crashes into the pier at the end. But it
in the book, there's no mainland stuff in the book. It is completely confined to sightseeing.
Sorry, maybe in the script, maybe.
They've always claimed it to be the T-Rex because
But remember,
the hand was just.
That's just.
There was a hand attached to the steering wheel of the Venture, but Spielberg still to this day says, no, it's just the T-Rex. I just thought it looked cool. Right, because the whole idea is he got out, and then they tempted him back in, and the guy died closing the door. And that's why they found the guy dead holding the door.
The hand just bugs the shit out of me.
Oh yeah, no,
it makes
agreed.
no physical fucking sense.
There's so much incredulity in those movies. I love. There's always that fine line of we can't be too real. We have to think of the enjoyment first, but those movies do go a little too far with it.
Which brings us to number 3.
The shit. Alan. Alan. Why is Alan Grant picturing a dinosaur he's never seen before?
That's not the first of my problems with that movie.
No, I was so excited because Grant was my favorite character. So I was like, oh, Grant's back. I'm so excited now. And it was just...
When I was a kid, I remember...
unimaginably bad.
When I saw the runtime was 80 minutes, I was like, that's not good.
That worried me as well.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And the whole, because apparently, the chaos behind the scenes of that movie, it's chaos, was insane. Because they started shooting without a script. They were just shooting stuff they were coming up with on the day, hoping to kind of craft a story out of it. And
is that why William H. Macy says Garciptoplots?
Yes. There was a lot of improv going on, a lot of last minute decisions, because they designed the whole thing around a script, and then the script was thrown out. And so they had all these set pieces for a script where it was going to be like Alan Grant was living on the island like Robinson Crusoe, and then a kid, and then
hence like the overturned tanker set,
all that stuff. And so they had all these. They spent a year.
We have to write a kid in. We need some sort of kid.
They spent a year building everything. So they're like, well, we gotta now just work around what we got since we threw the script out.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's insane.
So that movie's essentially Jurassic Park improv,
basically. Joe Johnson's Jurassic Park improv.
Now, so was Spielberg... I don't know a ton about that flick, because honestly, it's not worth knowing.
It's horrible.
What? So did Spielberg walk? Was he just like, I'm out? I'm not a sequel guy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because he only made, we were talking about this earlier, he only made Jurassic Park to get funding for Schindler's List, and he only made The Lost World to get funding for Amistad, and he just didn't have any reason to go back to it. He was like, I'll produce it, I'll profit off it, but I just don't think... He had no reason to go back to it. And I guess this is common knowledge now that George Lucas did all the post-production on both those films. So Spielberg shot the film, he worked with Michael Kahn, his editor, to get the picture lock, and then handed it over to George Lucas to go work on Schindler's List and Amistad, respectively. He did the exact same process for both. So everything aside from the actual shooting and editing is all Lucas. Every decision made. It's very odd.
Interesting.
And Jurassic Park 3, he just was like, here you go, Joe Johnson. You made one good movie. I guess 2. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Rocketeer.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is a delight, sir.
Other than that, I mean, we see eye to eye on Captain America, First Avenger, but I don't think he did a lot.
Jumanji. Hey, listen, that is one of the holy grails of Kirsten Dunst's very thick and turgid career. So.
I think I was a little too old for Lost World in 97. Jumanji, what year was Jumanji? 95, 96?
I would say 95 or 6, yeah.
I think I never got...
Because there's that boom of like, look what we can do with computers, bitch!
I remember I was such a hipster asshole even as a kid that I saw Jumanji and was like, it doesn't look real, man. It doesn't look like Jurassic Park. Fuck this.
Robin Williams.
Yeah, maybe I didn't. I think I started to like Robin Williams as an adult because I used to watch Mork and Mindy as a kid. Because I was obsessed with old TV as a kid. I watched F Troop, Mork and Mindy, Dick Van Dyke Show.
Weird.
I watched tons of old stuff.
So that explains why the fuck you were a hipster kid and then you're fucking like...
Before hipsters existed.
Yeah, exactly, when you were like
Which
12.
is the ultimate hipster thing to say. But no, we, because as the story goes, and I could be wrong on this because I was very young when it happened, my father was in construction. He did a job at a place where they manufactured or produced or sold satellite dishes, so part of his bonus was he got a satellite dish.
Oh.
So as a young kid, I had a satellite dish to play around with, and... two great stories. One is I grew up on Nick at Night, so it was Mystery Science Theater 3000, Dick Van Dyke Show, Flintstones, F Troop, 70s Spider-Man, all that weird shit. And the other one is if you went, and I even remember the number, G2, channel 14, I believe, was the Playboy channel. But it was scrambled because you had to pay for it.
Yeah.
But if you hit up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down between the two channels... really quickly, sometimes it would pop in. No audio, but the video would pop in.
What?
Yeah.
You hacked it?
So I hacked it.
Oh my god.
But one time I was doing that, and the system just grinded, and it got stuck on the Playboy channel. And I was like, fuck. And my parents were going to be home in like a couple hours.
Unplug it.
So I went to unplug it, and I got electrocuted. And I remember I was panicking and I went to unplug it and my arm seized up and I was like and I stepped back and was all fucking fried from it, and it just went and shut down. So then my parents got home and I was like, I don't know, I was just flipping through and it got stuck, and they must have known. They were like, you're on the Playboy channel, but they must have known, but they never said anything.
So
about
wait,
it.
you got electrocuted, but it was still on the screen when they came home?
No, it wasn't on the screen.
Oh, okay.
It was just stuck on that channel, but it was scrambled. It just got stuck. So
That's fucking
it
amazing.
was ridiculous.
That's amazing.
Um,
God punished you for your sins.
for my sins. And that was like early 90s Playboy. So that wasn't even vagina Playboy yet. That was just boobs.
Greatest soundtracks ever.
You're not wrong. But so yeah, Jurassic Park 3 sucked. There's not much to say about it. And then Jurassic
Hey man,
World.
listen, whenever those fucking feathered raptors started talking to each other at the end. Oh, and they 3D print that fucking voice. Yeah, that movie is.
And it didn't even sound like the Raptors. I don't understand the point.
No, they gave them new noises in that movie to make, because they're like, we have no plan for this whistle thing.
But the whistle thing didn't even sound like them. So they couldn't even line that up. They gave the Raptors new noises and then a new noise for the whistle thing. But I still, like, the scene of Grant going, no, because what is it? It's Grant says, give me the whistle, and he grabs the whistle, and then he goes, woo, into it, and they don't do anything. And then William H. Macy goes, no, call for help. And Alan actually goes, and like acknowledges it, and then goes, it makes a different noise, and all the raptors start looking around, going, what? And it's the stupidest thing.
Call for help.
Yeah.
I think that's why he's here, because
That's why he's there.
He fucking sells furniture and shit. So apparently, that was his job. Something.
He was because the phone, the ringtone, do. What was it? It was like, what was his name? Kirby Tile and Paint or something. Yeah. Mr. Kirby.
That was unfortunately my introduction to William H. Macy, and I was like, I fucking hate this guy.
That's a horrible introduction.
I know. It took Fargo for me to be like, oh god, this guy's amazing. But
Yeah.
like, I remember watching that movie and being like, why is this ass clown in this?
Who is this?
fucking
Why is he
movie?
even in here? And then they waited 15 years and came out with Jurassic World. And
What was the incentive? Was this this whole new retro thing? Like,
I think so,
They were like,
yeah.
people are always gonna love dinosaurs.
Yeah, I guess. And I imagine we're doing Fallen Kingdom in 2 weeks, so we're probably going to really get into Jurassic World then. But to kind of scratch the surface of it, I think it's fine. I'm not offended by it. I don't hate it the way I hate Solo, because it just felt like they were at least trying. They were at least trying to recapture the spirit of the original. They just didn't do it too well, but I
don't see it that way at all, though.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, the most interesting part of that movie was seeing the park as a functioning park.
That was great, yeah.
But the second the dinosaurs get loose, you're like, I couldn't. Like, you know what it is? That whole movie to me feels like the scene where that woman's getting tossed around by the
I love that scene.
I'm like, it goes on way too long, and then you know she's gonna die, so it's predictable. So the same thing, that whole movie is just, it keeps lumbering along this fucking trail of like, we're lost in the park, we're doing weird bad quips, like we're trying to be a Marvel
Chris
movie and
Pratt
shit.
was not good in it, and you're not wrong about any of this.
It's rough. Like I don't know. Like halfway into it, I'm like, I couldn't give less of a fuck about any of these characters.
I don't know what it was. I don't know if there was a subliminal image like Tyler Durden style cut in every 6 frames that I don't know what it was that made me. I honestly, it's inexplicable. It's like enjoying snails or something, you know. It's like, I don't know, it's just my tastes enjoyed it. I don't know why, because I'm such a critical asshole of stuff. But maybe just a combination of, it had been 15 years, it was better than part 3. Maybe it was kind of, it had that going for it, and the music was all there. Giacchino was doing it justice, and I really like that scene where she gets grabbed by the pterodactyl and then eaten by the mosasaurus.
I remember
that was like the Spielberg, like, just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, you know, approach to filmmaking.
I was the first time I saw that movie, we wanted to go see. It was me and my buddy. I think we were seeing Doug Stanhope that night. Me and my buddy Adam. So we're like, we're gonna meet up early in the day and we're gonna go see Fury Road. Then we're gonna get some whiskey and we're gonna see Stanhope. It's gonna be a fucking awesome metal day. So we get to the theater, and I think Fury Road was either sold out or it was Thursday, so it wasn't playing anymore. And we're like, fuck. So then the only other thing playing was Jurassic World.
That's a bad way to go into it.
It was like 11 a.m. and we're like, fuck it. So we were there like 10:30. So for some reason we went to the Jack Astor's across the street and we just started slamming whiskey because we knew the movie was going to suck. We were like, okay, I think we had a flask or something. Like, we'll take a drink every time something ridiculous happens. So we were sitting there, and like halfway in, like already we're pretty hammered at the beginning. Again, it's like not even noon. It was because we were seeing Doug Stanhope. We're gonna do justice.
It was good day drinking too.
Oh yeah. Like this total Arrested Development. Like, let's watch a dinosaur movie.
Right.
So I'm just watching it for Star-Lord. And
Who was not great in it.
But he had a lot of cool gear. I love that shotgun rifle he carries and that beautiful Triumph bike he drives.
Were you about to call Bryce Dallas Howard Jessica Chastain?
Is that not her?
It's Bryce Dallas Howard.
Oh, fuck it, I'll never get it right. I give up. I fucking give up.
Not Jessica Chastain.
We're watching it, and by the time we get to the end, because we kept doing shots every time something ridiculous happened. Whenever the thing was about to get eaten by the mosasaurus at the end, I just started hitting him. I'm like, they're gonna do a Deep Blue Sea.
Oh yeah,
they're gonna Sam Jackson him.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, it popped out.
The I-Rex or whatever. Yeah.
At that moment, I got what the movie was going for. Just like this gung ho, like, look, the Raptors teaming up with the T-Rex. Isn't this everything you wanted? But it just didn't land for me. Like, I totally got it, but I was like, nah, this isn't. It felt like the Force Awakens. For me, has that. See, that was, and then eventually it kind of tarnished. It's Jurassic World right away. I was like, nah, I don't get it.
Interesting. Because I think that's a great comparison. Force Awakens and Jurassic World hit all those same notes, but I think I like Jurassic Park more in as a whole. Like I like Jurassic Park more than Star Wars. I'm more of a Jurassic Park guy. Than if I had to choose, I choose Jurassic Park over Star Wars. So I think I'm like
Star Wars has 2 good movies. Jurassic Park has like 1.
But that one I would rather watch over and over than the 2 good Star Wars. I love Jurassic Park. Wow. I'm more of a Spielberg guy. Like, I love Star Wars, don't get me wrong. It's they're close, but I would put Jurassic Park above Star Wars, and I think that's probably why I'm like the person who would still defend Force Awakens for the nostalgia factor because I love Star Wars so much. I think that's where I'm falling into with Jurassic World, where I'm just like, nah, let's just get the music. The original T-Rex comes back.
Look, he's got the scratches from the Velociraptor.
He doesn't look anything like he did, but she did.
Sorry.
But I don't know. I it's inexplicable even to me.
I don't get it.
Why
dude.
I like it.
I do like that Chris Pratt meme that originally that came from it with people calming down like babies in strollers with their hands up and shit.
Right, yeah.
That was pretty great.
And I liked how I was really worried when I saw it. Maybe that's the thing, is because my expectations were so low for it, because in the trailer he's dirt biking with fucking raptors. But then when in the actual movie, and maybe it's too because it came out at a time when like I had pets when I was a kid, and there was a decade-long stretch where I didn't have pets, and then I have 2 cats now, and it came out at a time where I've just gotten those cats, so I was really seeing like the actual animal approach of like taming a tiger is how they're approaching the raptors.
Right.
That's very naturalistic. It's not actually like raptor bros. It's like a guy training tigers or big cats. And I think I kind of appreciated that they at least held back
Right.
and didn't make them like raptor bros. I give them props for that. But overall, honestly, it doesn't even make sense to me. I just enjoy it.
I kind of hate you for making us see Jurassic World.
Jurassic
World.
I hate myself for that fact we had to see Solo on opening day and we had to see Deadpool 2 on opening day.
I love this podcast. I hate. I'm a fan of these movies. I think they should keep making them. Dude, if you want to go down like the nostalgia rabbit hole, make Jurassic Park 14. I don't really care. I mean, it's gonna make a bunch of money.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, again, I think you said it on the solo, like, once you see past like how the studio industry works and what their intents are, you really start to see where the chinks in the armor are. And I think that's what it's happening with. I mean, this franchise for a while now.
I think it's happening with all these movies. We're just getting too old.
We're getting too old.
That's we're on the verge of actually understanding what nostalgia is beyond the dictionary definition. And I think maybe that Jurassic World ticked me there a little too. Because you can't really understand nostalgia until you're older. Until you're in your 40s or 50s even, right? You understand the definition of it. But I think Jurassic Park was like that first flick to the balls of nostalgia for me. I'm like, oh, that's what this is going to feel like in another 10 years.
Gotcha.
Oh, shit. At least, once the summer movie season is over, we can start focusing this podcast on other things. We're just sort of caught up in the summer tentpole blockbuster world. We unfortunately started it at the dawn of the summer blockbuster world.
It's fun.
It's
fun.
To come late July, August, we could start actually doing podcasts about things we enjoy. And I think that's a good note to go out on.
All right, that's it for this week.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget to check us out at spaceactionheroes.com. I guess Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is going to be coming up soon. That's going to be...
God, that's the subtitle.
Fallen Kingdom. It's pretty terrible.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys.